10 years ago, on a bright and sunny day, people noticed something unusual in the sky. Curious whispers spread. Hey, what's that? Then suddenly, above Tokyo, an enormous structure, an inverted castle, appeared. At the same time, dungeons began to manifest all across Japan, and humanity awoke to the existence of mana. Those particularly gifted with magical talent rose to challenge these dungeons, seeking fame and fortune. In this world, a mage's potential was determined by the color of their mana. Typically, individuals displayed aptitude for a single color. However, on rare occasions, dual-color wielders appeared. One such case was Kurosaki Kai, a dual-color wielder of blue and red mana. Kai, with his back turned, faced a towering monster with a confident smirk. As the creature lunged at him, Kai unleashed a powerful spell, Demon's Lance. The magic struck the monster midair. The beast collapsed, and Kai retrieved a magic stone from its remains. Nearby stood a white-haired porter, who was part of Kai's team. Kai tossed the stone at him and disdainfully addressed him, saying, "Hey, incompetent, pick it up, quick!" The porter, Kurosaki Rei, Kai's older brother, brushed off the pain from the stone striking his head. While Kai, known as the Purple King, was one of the strongest mages, Rei was considered colorless, an extreme rarity, possessing no magical aptitude at all. He was a level 1, and despite the odds, he couldn't give up on becoming a mage. Rei worked as a porter in Kai's party, clinging to the faint hope that one day he might awaken a skill. He endured the role with determination, picking up magic stones while believing in that small sliver of hope. Then came the moment when the party stood before a massive door, the boss room. One party member remarked that the boss should be easy to handle at their current pace. As the door creaked open, the team of 4, including Rei, entered cautiously. From the distance, a shadowy figure loomed, surrounded by cogwheels and a mysterious clock. The figure turned to face them. It was Kronos, the god of time and space. His level was unknown. Kai stepped forward with confidence, lifting his right hand, imbued with purple mana. He remarked, "Doesn't look like much," and launched another spell, shouting, "Demon slain!" However, Kronos effortlessly pulled a sword from the void and blocked the magic without flinching. Kai was stunned. Kronos' expression remained blank as his eyes widened. He launched an attack at Kai. Caught off guard, Kai could only lean back in fear, and in an instant, he was dead. His head had been obliterated. The other 2 party members turned in shock, yelling in panic, That thing's a monster! We'll be killed! Run!" But before they could escape, Kronos killed them too, striking them directly through the head. Rei stood frozen in disbelief, watching his brother's lifeless body fall. He muttered, "No way! The Purple King, Kai, taken out in an instant?" Staggering back, he collapsed to the ground. Kronos looked toward him and began to speak. But paused mid-sentence. With no change in expression, Kronos suddenly smirked and addressed Rei directly. "Completely colorless, are you?" Rei clenched his fists and declared, I haven't achieved anything yet. I can't give up here. Not yet." He grabbed a sword beside him and took a trembling stance. Kronos raised both hands, a smirk forming on his face, his right eye glowing. "Interesting. Do you dare face me despite being colorless?" Rei, still shaking, gripped the sword tightly. "I can't give up here." With spatial magic swirling behind him, Kronos lowered his hands and replied, "Very well, I shall test you." Then he attacked. Half of Ray's torso was obliterated instantly. He couldn't even react. Looking down in agony, he screamed as he realized the extent of the damage. Kronos, lifting his left hand, remarked, "Oops, went a little too far." With a snap of his fingers, he cast a spell. Rewind. Suddenly, time reversed. Ray's body was whole again. Shocked, he looked at his restored torso and muttered, "Healed?" Kronos conjured a fire spell and said, "Now then." He launched it toward Ray. As Ray braced for the impact, Kronos added, "This time, I'll give you time. Time to think." Hellfire flames of despair. He laughed and challenged. "Well, what will you do?" Ray analyzed the situation. He thought, half-baked attacks won't work, but maybe that sword he made himself. Spotting Kronos' sword, Ray grabbed it and used it to block the incoming flames. Despite the intensity of the fire scorching his body, he pushed forward. Kronos initially smiled, but then his expression turned to shock. With his body burning, Ray managed to pierce Kronos' chest. Smiling through the pain, he whispered, "I landed one hit." But Kronos grinned madly and cast the same spell again. Rewind. Time turned back once more. Ray's injuries vanished, and Kronos' wound closed completely. "That was some good entertainment," Kronos said with a wide grin. In utter despair, Ray dropped his sword and fell to his knees. He screamed in frustration. "It meant nothing. Am I going to die like this?" Just then, a system notification appeared in front of him. Confirmed presence of the god of time and space, releasing the seal on the black skill. Ray read aloud in disbelief. "Black skill?" Another notification followed. Acquired extra skill, skill drain. Then another, stole skill. Rewind. Ray's eyes widened. "What's happening?" Kronos also reacted in shock. "Could it be?" Then Ray screamed. "Rewind!" A black aura engulfed him. Kronos, veins bulging on his forehead, screamed furiously while trying to reach Ray. "You bastard!" A final notification appeared. Executing regression. A series of magic circles and clock hands whirled around Ray, ending in a flash of light. In that moment, a man appeared before him. Slightly turning back, the figure said, "I wasn't strong enough to defeat Kronos, the god of time and space. That's why I entrusted this skill to you. If it's you, then surely you should be able to defeat him." Because the scene cut abruptly to Ray, waking up in his bed, drenched in sweat. He sat up and muttered, "I desperately used his rewind skill, but what exactly happened?" As he glanced at a nearby mirror, he realized, "This is my younger self. Is it a dream?" Just then, a bird flying outside caught his eye. He turned to the window and saw it. The inverted castle was still white. It was supposed to be pitch black until yesterday. He recalled. The inverted castle remained white until 7 years ago. Then, gradually, it darkened, and when it turned pitch black, the door opened. Beyond that door was the god of time and space. His memory sharpened. "That's right. In that battle, I stole Rewind and," grabbing his phone, he checked the date and came to the realization that it's 7 years ago. "I've rewound into the past." Then he shouted, "Skill window." A digital screen appeared, showing skill list, skill drain. Ray's eyes lit up. The rewind skill is gone, but skill drain is still here? For 10 years, he had never gained a single skill. Smiling widely, he exclaimed, "If I have this skill." He looked back at his phone and noticed a message. "Mage exam." He muttered, "So today's that day." In Chiyoda Ward, in front of Tokyo Station, stood the Mage Association headquarters, the national agency overseeing mages who challenged dungeons. Ray walked toward the building, looked around the modern interior, and remarked, "It still looks new." Well, it is 7 years ago, so that makes sense. Suddenly, someone called out from behind, "Hey, colorless! What are you doing here?" It was Goto, level 36, and Oike, level 37, Kai's underlings. Ray recognized them and thought, "These guys are my brother's lackeys." Goto threw an arm around Ray's shoulder and mocked him. "Don't tell me, you're planning to take the Mage exam? Again?" Oike chimed in. "It's pointless no matter how many times a colorless tries, right?" Ray thought to himself, "That's right. This isn't the first time I've taken the Mage exam. I couldn't give up on becoming a mage, even when I knew it was probably futile. I failed again and again." He brushed them off and said flatly, "Leave me alone." Without looking back, he walked forward. Goto scoffed, "What's with that attitude?" Oike added, "Ignoring us for a mere colorless?" Ray then approached the exam proctor, B-rank mage Hinata Reina, level 27. She recognized him. "You again? Even if it's just an exam, you'll get yourself killed someday, you know." But Ray, more confident this time, replied, "This time, it should be fine." In front of the dungeon gate, Hinata addressed him. "You don't need me to explain the details, right?" Ray responded, "Right. Collect 3 magic stones from goblins to pass." As he entered the dungeon, he narrated internally, "Normally, for someone who has awakened a skill, it's not that difficult." However, the dungeon's atmosphere turned ominously dark. A loud stomp echoed. Just for today, an incident that also happened in the future. A monster that didn't belong in a level 1 dungeon appeared. It was Redcap, level 37, a menacing goblin radiating power. Hinata screamed, "Redcap? Why is something like that here?" Drawing her sword, she turned to Ray. "Kurosaki-san, please run." Ray, slightly panicked, muttered, "No, the level difference is too great." He recalled, in the world before regression, Hinata-san couldn't defeat this creature. She fought to buy me time, and was so badly injured she had to retire as a mage. It was my fault, because I was incompetent. Hinata-san's career was ruined. But this time, he thought, this time is different. Redcap lunged. Ray drew his dagger and threw it, knowing full well, this thing has a skill that enhances its physical abilities. The goblin deflected the dagger and continued its charge. It's so powerful that ordinary attacks can't hurt it. But Ray surged forward and punched the goblin in the head. Redcap's eyes widened in shock. A system notification appeared. Stole skill, body enhancement, extreme. Physical stats have improved. Ray's body glowed with newfound power. "If I just steal its skill," he muttered, slashing fiercely. He struck the monster. "It's nothing more than a lump of flesh." Hinata stared in disbelief, her expression frozen in shock, as she muttered, barely able to process what she had just witnessed. He defeated a Redcap with only 1 hit? Ray looked down at his hand and murmured to himself, "Skill drain." As expected, this is an amazing power. Hinata, still confused, asked, "But how?" Startled by her question, Ray flinched. He hesitated, internally warning himself not to mention anything about black skills. Then, in a louder voice, he replied, "It wasn't just a coincidence?" Hinata, unconvinced, shouted, "Stop lying." She continued after a pause, "Right, since an irregular has emerged, the exam will be canceled. I have to report this to HQ." Ray thought to himself, acknowledging the unexpected situation. Right, now's not the time when irregulars are supposed to appear. But then, out loud, he said, "But I still need 2 more mana stones." Hinata, visibly alarmed, yelled back, "Is this really the right time to say that? It's dangerous." Suddenly, the sound of a loud stomp echoed through the area. Ray turned his gaze to the distance and calmly said, About time. Two goblins approached rapidly and leapt forward simultaneously, but Rei swiftly and effortlessly defeated them both. Hinata stood stunned, unable to believe what she had just seen. With a shocked expression, she could only whisper, "Wow." Rei turned to her and asked, "I can take these mana stones, right?" Hinata, still processing everything, stood frozen for a moment, and then yelled, "What?" Later, at the entrance of the main headquarters of the Mage Association, Hinata handed Rei his official Mage license. Rei took it silently, staring at it as if he couldn't believe it was real. Clenching his jaw, he whispered, "It took a long time to reach this point." He reflected on his journey. "I couldn't give up my dream of becoming a mage. I was a mere porter for around 10 years. But, holding the license high, he continued, now I've finally become a mage." Hinata then spoke again, handing him a document. "Also, these are the details regarding the exchange of the mana stones." Rei began to narrate internally. Mana stones were dropped from monsters and served as a valuable energy source that didn't emit carbon dioxide. Additionally, they could be sold to the Mage Association. Since he had defeated an A-rank monster, the Red Cap, this reward would serve as decent income. When Rei read the amount he earned from the exchange, his eyes widened in disbelief. 3 million? He shouted. Hinata smiled proudly and said, "Well, you defeated a Red Cap after all." Rei responded, still amazed. "Mages really do earn quite a lot, huh?" Hinata added with encouragement, "If it's you, Rei-san, you can earn even more." Rei then noticed her injured arm and with concern asked, "Excuse me, I want to ask you something." But the scene abruptly cut off. Rei was now standing, alone, in front of a dungeon. He extended his hand toward it and read the inscription aloud, "Reserved to Kurosaki Rei, rank C." He thought to himself that until now, he had never been able to enter a dungeon solo. Smiling warmly and raising his clenched fist, he said, "I can really change the future." Suddenly, a large aura in the shape of a hand appeared behind him and grabbed him. "What are you doing here?" asked a man who had cast the spell. It was Oige, and beside him stood Goto. With a smirk, Oige mocked, "A colorless mage like you dares to go into a dungeon solo?" Goto added with a sneer, "That's against the rules, you know." Rei replied coldly, "I passed the mage examination. That's why I'm allowed to go inside a dungeon solo." Goto narrowed his eyes and accused, "Stop lying." Oige then grabbed Rei's head and challenged him. "Then show me your skill." Rei muttered to himself, analyzing the situation. The skill used on him compressed mana into a physical form, Mana Hand. He thought that even extreme body enhancement wouldn't be enough to break free. But, in a sudden move, Rei lunged upward and headbutted Oige. Blood dripped from Oige's nose as he recoiled in shock. A notification popped up. "Skill Mana Hand has been stolen." Another notification followed. "Activated Mana Hand is now disabled." Both Oike and Goto stood speechless. "What the hell?" they exclaimed. Rei then activated Mana Hand and used it to grab Oike. Oike, still stunned, shouted, You really awakened with skills?" Goto ran forward, yelling, "Don't get carried away with only that much." He cast a fireball. Rei responded by activating Extreme Body Enhancement, completely deflecting the fireball. Goto was shocked. "What?" Rei immediately landed a powerful punch with his left hand, launching Goto into the distance. Oike, in disbelief, muttered, "Even a body enhancement?" From the ground, Goto gasped, "You don't tell me you're dual-colored?" Rei replied coldly, "No." A new notification appeared. "Skill Fireball has been stolen." Rei then cast his own fireball, and confidently stated, "One more color." Goto shouted in disbelief. "A third color? I've never heard of such a thing." Rei aimed the fireball at Goto and launched it. Goto barely managed to dodge. Rei then released Oike from his mana hand grip and asked in a commanding tone, "Still want to fight?" The two men looked at each other, panicked, and ran away as fast as they could, yelling, "We're very sorry." Rei let out a sigh. He thought to himself that if Kai found out, things wouldn't end well. He had always been treated like Kai's lapdog. If Kai discovered he had awakened a skill, he would definitely try to crush him. Kai had already reached the level 50 milestone and was considered one of the strongest in the modern era. But Kai wasn't the only one he needed to be wary of. Soon, that dungeon would be unlocked. For now, Rei thought, "I need to raise my level as much as possible." He then entered the dungeon. Rei reflected on the importance of leveling up. Levels were the foundation of strength. They allowed new skills to be learned and increased the total mana pool. But more importantly, they expanded the amount of mana one could control at once. As Rei traversed deeper into the dungeon, a burst of fire erupted in front of him. A monster appeared. "Flame Wizard. I can barely create one fireball," he muttered. Activating the skill, difference in levels, created a significant gap. Even when using the same technique, Rei threw his fireball, and the Flame Wizard countered with its own. Rei dodged it. "I can't win in a head-on fight," he thought. But no matter how high their level, there's one thing that doesn't change. After using a skill, there's always an opening. Rei jumped toward the Flame Wizard. The monster flinched and stepped back. Only 2 seconds, Rei thought. But during that moment, it becomes powerless. With his body enhancement activated, Rei landed a direct hit on the Flame Wizard's face. Another notification popped up. Stole skill, Fireball. The Flame Wizard was launched backward from the impact. Rei continued muttering to himself, noting that it had just lost its only means of attack. The Flame Wizard quickly stood up, pointed its staff at Rei, and prepared to strike. But when it saw Rei already preparing another attack, it hesitated. "If I steal that," Rei thought, "it's not scary." He launched another fireball. The monster couldn't react in time and was engulfed in flames. Defeated. A series of notifications appeared. Level up. Defeating higher-level opponents granted large amounts of experience. Normally, it was difficult to defeat such enemies, but with his skill, Rei clenched his fist and looked toward his next destination. "For now, I'll race up to level 30. He continued fighting monsters inside the dungeon, leveling up rapidly. After a while, Rei took a short rest and checked his system window. He muttered, "I managed to level up at an incredible speed. Still, as expected, leveling up is getting harder. If I want to reach level 30, I need to defeat higher-level opponents." Eventually, Rei made his way to the deepest part of the dungeon, the boss room. He stood before a gigantic door and said, "This boss is the perfect opponent for that." He opened the door. Inside, 3 monsters approached: an imp, level 30, a skull demon, level 45, and another imp, level 30. All of them were higher level than him. If I can steal their techniques, I have a chance to win. Rei leaped toward the 3 monsters and launched a punch at the skull demon, but a barrier blocked the attack. Shocked, he fell back. "As I thought, I still can't reach it. That mana barrier is in the way, so I can't activate skill drain." The skull demon roared and lunged toward him. Rei barely managed to dodge. He knew that to break through the barrier, he had no choice but to use that. Rei realized that to defeat the summoned imp, he had to deprive it of something useful. Though he didn't yet possess the necessary power, He knew he had to act fast. Without hesitation, he leapt toward one of the imps and delivered a solid punch. As he made contact, he activated a skill drain. A notification confirmed that he had successfully stolen the skill, Ice Needle. Wasting no time, Ray cast a fireball and launched it at point-blank range, reducing the imp to smithereens. Then, turning to the second imp, he used the newly acquired Ice Needle and instantly defeated it. Now standing in front of the Skull Demon, Ray prepared for the next phase of battle. The Skull Demon responded by summoning another imp. Observing this, Ray noted aloud that the imp would be resummoned immediately. As the new imp charged at him, Ray welcomed the opportunity. Although it would usually be a problem, for him, at that moment, it was a blessing. With a wide grin, he jumped forward. By defeating the imp, Ray gained experience points and leveled up from level 27 to 28. A system notification appeared. The amount of mana controllable had reached a specified value, and the skill synthesis, had been unlocked. Ray's eyes widened in excitement. "This is it," he exclaimed. The Skull Demon roared in response. Ray began preparing both Ice Needle and Fireball simultaneously. Using skill synthesis, he combined the two spells and charged toward the Skull Demon. Shouting, "Fire Lance!" he launched the synthesized magic. The Skull Demon erected a mana barrier in defense. The spells collided with the barrier, which began to crack under the pressure. Eventually, Ray's Fire Lance broke through completely and landed a successful hit on the Skull Demon. Another system notification appeared, indicating that Ray had stolen the skill Mana Barrier. Ray didn't stop there. With determination, he shouted, "One more time," and continued his assault. His next successful attack allowed him to steal Body Enhancement Extreme. With all the enhancements affecting the Skull Demon now nullified, Ray launched the final blow. Yelling, "Fire Lance!" he pierced through the Skull Demon, defeating it completely. A Mana Stone dropped, and Ray's level skyrocketed from 28 to 33. Catching his breath, Ray took a moment to explain the newly unlocked skill synthesis. It allowed for combining skills, an advanced technique to create more powerful ones, usually accessible around level 30. Ray admitted he had hoped to use it and was glad he had managed it successfully. He sighed from exhaustion. Another system notification popped up. The level requirement had been met, and the number of skills retainable via skill drain had increased. Ray now had 5 skill slots instead of 3. Smiling, he remarked how skill drain had just become even more convenient. Later, Ray returned to the association and handed the Skull Demon's Mana Stone to Hinata. She was shocked, exclaiming that Ray had defeated the Skull Demon and reached level 33 in just one day. Ray scratched the back of his neck with an awkward smile and admitted he had just gotten lucky. Hinata, narrowing her eyes, said that surpassing level 30 in one day was unheard of. Ray casually replied, "Indeed." Hinata then informed him that at his level, he could be ranked as a B-rank mage unconditionally. Just then, a voice called out from a distance, Hey, hold on a second. That dog is a B rank? Must be some mistake." Ray turned to see his younger brother, Kai, and muttered his name with narrowed eyes. Hinata greeted Kai, who immediately began to mock Ray. "That guy can't even use a single skill. Colorless, and he's a B-rank mage?" Hinata defended Ray, stating that he had actually defeated both the Red Cap and the Skull Demon. Hearing this, Kai shifted his gaze sharply toward Ray and asked with a sinister look, "You did?" Without warning, Kai launched in a pack. His left hand glowed with dense purple mana. A loud bang echoed through the building, and thick smoke filled the room. But Ray effortlessly blocked the attack with a mana barrier. With a slight smile, Ray looked at Kai and said, "Honestly, that's dangerous." Hinata, alarmed, yelled out, "Kai-san?" Kai then said to Ray, "So, you've awakened with skills. The rumor is true." Ray confirmed it with a simple yes. Kai warned him not to get carried away just because he could use some skills. He declared that he would test Ray's capabilities himself and smiled with excitement. Hinata shouted in concern, asking if he really planned to fight. Kai justified his intent by saying that if Ray truly earned B rank status through his feats, then a fight wouldn't be a problem. Hinata protested again, but Kai cut her off. "Perhaps all of your abilities to reach B rank were lies?" Ray thought to himself that if he refused Kai's challenge, he would only be harassed later on. With a determined expression, he accepted. Understood. Kai gritted his teeth and cursed, "You bastard." At the Mage Association headquarters arena, both Ray and Kai stood ready to face each other. Ray mentally reviewed his strategy. When facing someone stronger, the key was to manage the difference in mana control. He couldn't afford to let his guard down. At level 30, he could manage combos of up to 3 basic skills. Kai, at level 50, likely had a combo capacity of 5. A direct fight would put Ray at a disadvantage. Therefore, he thought, he had to bridge the gap with the first shot. Ray initiated the battle with a spell, Ice Needles. Kai countered by casting 4 fireballs. Ray's Ice Needle was completely shattered by them. However, Kai was taken aback when Ray suddenly appeared right in front of him. Kai commented on the yellow-colored enhancement skill. "A dual-colored wielder, huh?" Ray estimated that after casting his 4th skill, Kai had enough mana left for 1 more. Taking his chance, Ray activated skill synthesis and launched a fire lance. Kai recognized the synthesized attack, a combination of blue and red skills. "You can use 3 colors of skills, huh?" he noted, smirking. But then he shouted, "Fireball!" and disrupted Ray's attack. Ray was shocked. My synthesized fire lance, worth 2 skills, was overpowered by a simple fireball? Kai responded smugly. "So you can use 3 colors. No wonder you're getting carried away. But I'm on a different level compared to you. Now, dance!" With a grim smile, Kai launched a barrage of fireballs at Ray, who barely managed to dodge and return fire with another fire lance. But Kai smirked again and obliterated it with another fireball. Ray then cast a mana barrier, but it didn't hold for long. It shattered completely. Kai demanded Ray bow his head. "Say, I'm sorry for getting carried away." "Right now," Ray muttered to himself. Admitting he couldn't win with his limited moves and output, he considered giving up. But then he asked himself, would he really live his life as Kai's slave? His resolve hardened. Ray stood up and yelled, "I won't do that." Kai acknowledged Ray's defiance and said coldly, "It seems you won't learn until you die. I have no choice then." He cast another fireball, but this one was different. Using Overclock, Kai consumed a large amount of mana to temporarily double the amount he could control at once. Ray stepped back, sensing the shift in power. Kai announced, "This is the power of a king." 10 fireballs now surrounded Kai as he activated his signature move. 10 combo attacks, Decade. Panicking, Ray muttered, "It's the strength that allows Kai to be the strongest." He can use more mana at once than any other king temporarily. But, with a surge of confidence, Ray shouted, "I've been waiting for you to use that skill." Ray then jumped forward, fully aware that only Kai had ever achieved 10 consecutive skill attacks in the world, and only by using Overclock. But Ray wasn't going to let that intimidate him. Kai laughed at Ray's audacity, shouting, "You fool! Do you think you can dodge midair?" As Kai launched his powerful combo attack, Ray activated a skill, Mana Hand. The spectral hand reached behind Kai and grabbed the floor, catching Kai off guard. "Another new skill?" Kai exclaimed in disbelief. Ray calculated that even if Kai could launch 10 consecutive skills, they were meaningless if he could dodge them. He reminded himself that Kai was still bound by cooldowns. Even as a king, with agility and focus, Ray successfully dodged all of Kai's attacks and landed safely behind him. Within those few seconds, Ray struck Kai squarely in the face, sending him flying. A notification popped up. "Skill Overclock has been stolen." Confidently, Ray thought to himself that Kai was finished now, that his ultimate skill had been taken. But Kai got back up, rage burning in his eyes. "You bastard," he muttered. Ray, still cautious, wondered aloud if Kai would continue fighting. With a twisted expression, Kai screamed, "I'll kill you!" and cast Demon Lance. Ray was taken aback, whispering, "The strongest skill of the purple. Did he manage to learn it at this point?" Ray barely dodged the devastating spell. "What a speed," he gasped. Kai launched another Demon Lance. Ray, analyzing the situation, admitted to himself that he had only landed a hit earlier because of Kai's carelessness. "Once the Purple King gets serious, he's stronger than me," he thought, narrowly avoiding each attack. Eventually, Ray was cornered against a wall. Kai smirked and said confidently, "I still have some left, you know." Ray responded with a Fire Lance, while Kai cast another Demon Lance. The two spells collided in a massive explosion, sending Ray crashing against the wall. Kai stood tall, declaring, "This is why I'm called the Purple King. This is proof that I'm the strongest." Struggling to catch his breath, Ray muttered, "That's true. Kai's Demon Lance is one of the strongest." Kai, smirking, added, "Don't be cocky just because you can use a lot of skills." Ray reflected silently, admitting that his current skills weren't enough to match Kai. But then a new thought struck him. What if he could uncover the full potential of the purple skill? His eyes widened, and he clenched his fists. Until now, he had been limited to synthesizing 2 colors due to his mana capacity. That was about to change. He activated Overclock. Kai's eyes widened in shock. "Overclock? How could you?" Ray calmly responded, "Now, my mana capacity is doubled. If my prediction is correct," a system notification appeared. "Mana capacity has increased due to the effect of activating Overclock. Skill Synthesis Black has been unlocked." Smirking, Ray declared, "This is it." Kai, growing more concerned, muttered, "What is he planning?" But his mana capacity has increased. Raising his right hand, Ray revealed what he had been preparing. "This is the 3-colored skill synthesis that no one has ever used before," he said, as red, blue, and yellow mana merged into a swirling black mass in his hand. Kai, stunned, shouted, "Black mana?" Ray explained calmly, "The basic colors of mana are blue, red, and yellow. I was told I wasn't suited for any of them, but that's wrong. I've already consumed them all. I am a dark mage." Another notification appeared. "Skill Synthesis Black has been unlocked. Abyss Flame has been created." Panicking, Kai launched a Demon Lance and screamed, "Stay away!" But Ray effortlessly deflected the spell. Impossible! Kai cried out in disbelief. Ray charged forward, preparing his black magic, while Kai cast another demon lance. But this time, Ray unleashed Abyss Flame. As the two spells collided, Kai's face contorted in fear. The Abyss Flame completely obliterated the demon lance. Smoke engulfed the area. When it finally cleared, Ray saw his younger brother unconscious in the distance. Kneeling out of exhaustion, Ray whispered, "I did it." A system window appeared. Skill Abyss Flame has been acquired through Skill Synthesis Black. Hinata burst through the door, shouting, "Ray-san, are you okay?" "Somehow," Ray replied, exhausted. Hinata, bewildered, asked, "What was that skill?" Ray thought to himself that he couldn't hide it any longer. Not in this situation. He revealed his mana to Hinata and said, "It looks like black skill." Hinata froze in shock. "Black, it's the world's first." Ray then asked, "Regarding the black skill, do I have the obligation to report this to the association? If possible, I'd like to keep this power a secret." "Eh? That's not what I meant," Hinata replied. "I just thought you're missing an opportunity." "Missing an opportunity?" Ray repeated. Hinata explained, "The strongest mage of each color is given the title of king. To put it simply, since you're the only black mage in the world, you can be considered the Black King." Ray pondered deeply. "A king, huh?" he murmured before answering. "For the time being, I don't want that." He continued his thoughts silently. His level hadn't increased tremendously, even if he became a king. Looking at Kai, Ray asked, "By the way, is he okay?" Hinata responded reassuringly. "He's one of the kings. He'll recover soon, even with those levels of wounds. Anyway, I'll bring him to the medical room." Suddenly, both Hinata and Ray's phones rang simultaneously. A warning flashed on the screen. "A dungeon has appeared at the western entrance of Ikebukuro Park. Recommended level, 70. Hinata gasped, "This is?" Ray's expression turned serious as he muttered, "It's finally here. Ikebukuro Dungeon." The recommended level was 70, yet most kings were only around level 50. Within the first week of its appearance, the kings realized they were powerless against it. As a result, the Ikebukuro Dungeon was left abandoned. But that marked the beginning of a tragedy, a dungeon collapse. Visuals flashed, a horde of monsters emerging. At the current time, such a phenomenon was still unknown. But if a dungeon wasn't conquered within a set amount of time, the monsters would escape through the gate. Ikebukuro Dungeon became the first recorded dungeon outbreak. The city of Tokyo was overwhelmed by monsters. Many lives were lost. Ray made a solemn vow to himself. "I won't let that tragedy happen once more. I have to stop a dungeon collapse, no matter what." With resolve, Ray declared aloud, "I'll conquer that dungeon." Hinata, alarmed, shouted, "Even if it's you, it's still too dangerous, Ray-san. Moreover, only rank A and above mages are allowed into dungeons with a recommended level above 50. Luckily, there's still time before the dungeon collapse starts," Ray muttered. Then he turned to Hinata and asked, "The next rank A examination is in around a week, right?" Hinata was taken aback and nearly shouted in disbelief. "An A rank promotion?" he exclaimed. "Surely, with your skills, you might even pass the exam." Ray responded calmly. "Is there a problem?" Hinata quickly explained. "In order to take an A rank promotion exam, you need to clear a B rank dungeon with a party first. In other words, you'll have to form a party within a week and clear a B rank dungeon." Days later, Ray found himself sitting lifelessly in the corner of a room, staring at his phone. He muttered to himself, "I completely forgot." His phone screen showed cruel messages. Who would party up with a colorless? Lol, go leech your brother instead. Lol lol lol. It was clear. The news of him being a colorless had already spread. Ray understood the reality. He needed to clear an unexplored dungeon within a week. But with only a mage's skill set, it would be difficult. He wondered what he should do next. Then, in the distance, a voice caught his attention. 3 girls were confronting another girl. The party leader snapped at her. "Hey, you! I'll make you work today for sure." Ray grew curious. "What is it?" he thought. The party leader continued. "I allowed you to join our party because I heard you're a dual color wielder, but your fire skill is so weak." The girl they were scolding lowered her head and quietly apologized. "I'm sorry." Ray stood up, muttering to himself, "I came across something I didn't really want to see. I'm also treated like a deadweight, after all." Then the party leader bluntly told the girl, "I'm being honest here. Ichinose, you're a deadweight." Ray's eyes widened in shock. "Eh? Is she Ichinose Aya?" he whispered. That name struck a chord. Ichinose Aya would later be known as the Scarlet King. But at this point in time, she was still an incompetent mage. Ray never imagined she'd be mistreated like this by her own party. Ichinose then spoke with a trembling voice. If I am kicked out of this party, I won't be able to cover my sister's medical bill. I'll do better next time." The group leader scoffed and responded, "Then prove it to me during today's raid, or else I'll kick you out." Ichinose nodded weakly. "Yes, I'll do my best." "All right, let's go," the leader ordered. Watching them leave, Ray muttered, "Will they be okay?" As he walked through the streets, Ray thought deeply. Ichinose would become the Scarlet King in several years, but before reaching that point, she would go through countless hardships. If he remembered correctly, she would experience a serious incident around this time. She'd be heavily injured during a boss battle and fall into a coma for several years. Ray began to worry. Wait a minute. Perhaps that incident will happen today? I'm not sure, but something feels off. I have to hurry. Meanwhile, inside the boss room, Ichinose's party faced off against a level 45 Dullahan. The party leader grinned with a sinister expression and said, "I have an idea." Without warning, she shoved Ichinose toward the monster. "Fight it alone." Ichinose protested. But I can't win against Dullahan alone." "Then I'll kick you out," the leader threatened. Ichinose shook her head. No." The leader smirked cruelly. "You're doing this for your little sister, right?" Ichinose lowered her head and turned toward the Dullahan. She was trembling as she replied, "Understood." Behind her party members all wore mocking smirks. Ichinose began casting fireball magic. The spell hit the Dullahan, but it had no effect. "It's not working," she muttered, panicked. The Dullahan leapt high and prepared to strike. Ichinose barely dodged, thrown backward by the impact. The monster approached again, raising its weapon for a final blow. Ichinose closed her eyes, whispering, "I knew it. I'm useless." But then, a loud voice echoed through the chamber. "Extreme body enhancement!" Ray arrived just in time, blocking the Dullahan's attack and saving Ichinose. She looked at him in shock. Ray pushed the Dullahan back with a powerful strike, then turned and asked, "Are you okay?" The party members looked on in disbelief. Who is he?" one of them asked. The leader muttered, "Dullahan is a type of monster with a heavy weight, yet he blew it away with one strike of his sword." Her eyes widened. "What is he?" The Dullahan roared and stood back up. A surge of immense pressure filled the room. Ray narrowed his eyes. As expected, that wasn't enough. Dullahan's armor is enhanced with a strengthening skill. Normal attacks won't penetrate it. He leapt forward, The Dullahan slashed horizontally, but Ray dodged. In that case, I'll just steal that skill and nullify it. Ray activated Skill Drain and touched the Dullahan. However, the ability didn't work. The Dullahan attacked again, but Ray managed to block it, though it pushed him back. Ichinose, still on the ground, called out in concern. "Are you okay?" "Yes," Ray answered, catching his breath. "I somehow blocked it with my sword." He quickly analyzed the situation. "I see. Dullahan's armor is merely its external part. I need to touch its internal body." The Dullahan launched a long-range attack, slashing its giant sword into the ground and sending a shockwave toward Ray and Ichinose. Ray moved in front of Ichinose. "Stay behind me," he shouted. He cast a magic barrier just in time. The shockwave was so powerful that even the party behind them was swept away. The party leader tried casting Ice Needle toward the Dullahan, but the monster overpowered it and countered, hitting her directly. Ray assessed quickly. Her Ice Needle doesn't work? In that case, he put away his sword. I need a skill that surpasses Dullahan's strengthening to break through. Summoning his black mana, he prepared his next move. Ichinose gasped. "But black mana?" As the Dullahan charged again with a shockwave attack, Ray cast Abyss Flame. The powerful magic overwhelmed the Dullahan's strike and took the monster down in one hit. A mana stone dropped to the ground. Ichinose was stunned. "With a single hit? Amazing!" She stood up and approached Ray. "Excuse me, thank you for saving me," she said, bowing politely. Ray smiled. "I'm glad you're okay." He looked down at the mana stone in his hand and muttered, "It's just like I read. I'm glad I saved Ichinose." The party leader, now standing again, was speechless. Her face darkened as she bit her nail, muttering, "He's actually really strong, but the reward should be mine." She suddenly yelled, "Wait! The reward dropped from the dungeon we were conquering. Give me that mana stone." Ichinose protested. "Hey! This person saved us, you know!" But Ray remained calm. "I don't mind giving this to you. In exchange, I'll have her at my party." Everyone was shocked. Ray looked at Ichinose. "Of course, only if you allow it." The party leader laughed like a villain. "I was thinking about what you were going to say." "I agree. Ichinose, you're fine with it, right?" She leaned forward with a hideous grin. Ichinose clenched her fist and replied, "Understood. I'm in your care now." The party leader immediately snatched the mana stone from Ray and walked away. "I never thought a deadweight could be sold this high," she scoffed. Ray watched her go and muttered, "Deadweight? Huh, I wonder if that's true." Ichinose approached Ray, her voice soft. "Excuse me. Thank you for inviting me." Ray apologized. "I'm sorry that I made you leave your party so suddenly. But is it really okay?" she asked worriedly. "I'm only dragging you down." Ray extended his hand and spoke with warmth. "It's okay. You'll become stronger than those who abandoned you." Ichinose looked at him surprised. "I'll become stronger?" Ray nodded seriously. "Before I came here, I saw you at the association. I overheard your conversation. It was a coincidence. I'm sorry, but I think I can be your support." Ichinose cleared her throat and said, "Okay, I'll be in your care." Ray smiled. "Yes, same here." They shook hands. The next day, they stood in front of the dungeon. "Now, let's conquer a B-rank dungeon," Ray said. As they stretched and prepared, Ichinose asked, "If we conquer this dungeon, we can take the A-rank examination, right?" "You're right." "Not only that," Ray added. "Inside this dungeon, there's a key that will make you stronger, Ichinose-san." "A key," she murmured. Her inner voice echoed with determination. "Once I become stronger and rise in rank, I should be able to earn enough money to pay my sister's medical bills." Ray nodded. "All right, let's go." Ichinose responded with a confident yes, and together they entered the dungeon. B-rank dungeon, Crystal Cave. Inside, Ichinose noticed something. Black wolves. "Leave them to me," Rei said confidently. "Okay," she replied. Rei activated extreme body enhancement and leapt forward, effortlessly slashing through the black wolves one by one. Ichinose, watching from behind, couldn't believe what she was seeing. Her thoughts raced. Although my previous party with Isoyama-san was strong, they can't even compare to Rei-san. As they went deeper into the dungeon, Rei said, "This place is our goal. I'll support you here. Do as we planned." "Understood," Ichinose said, stepping forward. Her inner voice reflected her resolve. Defeating many of these monsters is the strategy to level up fast. I can only use simple attack skills, but I have to try. As monsters advanced toward her, she cast Fireball repeatedly. Meanwhile, Rei noticed a monster sneaking up behind him. "You're here. I won't let you disturb Ichinose-san." Ichinose continued fighting, but a monster managed to land a hit on her left arm. Her thoughts were grim. No matter how many I defeat, they keep coming. At this rate, I'll run out of mana. She looked back, calling for Rei. She saw him holding off a group of goblins. Her thoughts shifted. He's trying to make my battle easier. Right. I should stop complaining. I have to live up to his feelings. As she kept fighting, she noticed something strange. My mana, it's not running out. Rei took a quick glance at her. His inner voice confirmed. As expected, Ichinose-san is suited to a dragged-out battle. Her mana pool is her greatest weapon. A system message appeared before Ichinose. Blast Furnace has been unlocked. At the boss room of Crystal Cave, they faced a huge level 52 slime. Rei charged forward and yelled, "Ichinose-san, please use the skill you just unlocked." "Okay," she responded, casting the spell. Blast Furnace! Flames surrounded her. As Ichinose stood amazed. "This is my power?" Rei's inner voice confirmed it. Blast Furnace is a skill that increases firepower at the cost of high mana. It fits Ichinose-san's skill set perfectly. Ichinose launched a powerful spell toward the slime boss. The impact was massive. Rei watched, stunned, as expected. No, it's even greater. Her tremendous mana pool combined with Blast Furnace. With this power, Ichinose Aya will become the Scarlet King. They defeated the boss instantly. Rei looked at Ichinose and praised her. "Good job." Catching her breath, Ichinose smiled warmly and blushed. "I'm also surprised. This is all thanks to you, Rei-san." Back at the association, Ichinose stood proudly. "We fulfilled the condition to participate in the A-rank examination." "Yes," Rei confirmed. His inner voice burned with determination. "Finally, it's time for the promotion test. I'll pass no matter what."